I had just walked out of the attorney's office feeling like the luckiest man alive. My older brother Raymond had left me everything: his ranch in Montana, 2 rental properties in Denver, and nearly $400,000 in savings. I couldn't wait to get home and tell my wife, Gloria, and our son Marcus the incredible news. But when I opened the front door and heard their voices coming from the kitchen, something made me stop. I stood in the hallway, listening, and what I heard made my blood run cold. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Walter, and I'm 63 years old. I spent 35 years working as an electrical engineer for a utility company in Colorado before retiring 2 years ago. My wife Gloria and I have been married for 38 years. We have one son, Marcus, who's 35 and works as an accountant. He's married to a woman named Denise, and they have 2 kids. My brother Raymond was 7 years older than me. He never married, never had children. He was what people called a confirmed bachelor. After serving in the military, he bought a ranch in Montana and spent the rest of his life there, raising cattle and horses. We weren't particularly close growing up. The age gap made that difficult, but in the last decade of his life, we reconnected. I'd visit him at the ranch every summer, just the 2 of us. We'd fish, ride horses, and talk about life. Gloria never came. She said Montana was too remote, too boring. Looking back, I think Raymond saw things about my marriage that I was too blind to see. Raymond passed away 3 months ago from a heart attack. He was 70 years old. The funeral was small, just me, a few of his ranch hands, and some neighbors from the area. Gloria said she had a migraine and couldn't make the trip. Marcus said he had too much work. I didn't think much of the inheritance. Raymond lived simply. I assumed everything would go to charity or maybe to his longtime ranch hand, a man named Eddie, who had worked for him for 20 years. Then, last week, I got a call from an attorney in Billings. Mr. Walter Brennan, this is Patricia Holloway from Holloway and Associates. I'm handling your brother Raymond's estate. You need to come to Montana. There are some documents that require your signature, and there's a personal letter your brother left for you. A letter? I felt a pang of emotion. Raymond wasn't the type to write letters. I flew to Billings 3 days later. Patricia Holloway was a sharp woman in her 50s, with kind eyes. She sat me down in her office and opened a thick folder. Mr. Brennan, your brother named you as the sole beneficiary of his estate. I blinked. I'm sorry. What? She smiled gently. Everything. The ranch that's 640 acres with a main house, 2 guest cabins, and a barn. 2 rental properties in Denver that generate about $4,000 monthly in passive income. A savings account with $387,000. And his investment portfolio, which is currently valued at approximately $220,000. I sat there, stunned. Raymond had never talked about money. I knew the ranch was valuable, but I had no idea about the rest. That's over $1 million in total, I managed to say. Closer to 1.4 million. Yes. Your brother was a very frugal man. He saved and invested wisely for decades. My hands were shaking. I couldn't process it. Patricia reached into her desk and pulled out a sealed envelope. He also left you this. He was very specific that you should read it privately, after you learned about the inheritance. I took the envelope. My name was written on the front in Raymond's familiar handwriting. Take your time, Patricia said. I'll step out for a few minutes. She left the office. I stared at the envelope for a long moment, then carefully opened it. Dear Walter, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't be sad. I lived a good life, and I'm at peace. You're probably in shock right now, learning about everything I left you. I know I never talked about money. That was intentional. I've learned over the years that money changes people, or rather, it reveals who they really are. Walter, I'm going to say something that might hurt, but I need you to hear it. I've watched you for the past 10 years, and I've seen how you live. You work hard, you provide, you sacrifice. But I've also seen how Gloria treats you. I've seen how Marcus treats you. They take, and you keep giving because you think that's what love is. It's not. I never said anything because I knew you wouldn't listen. You would have defended them, made excuses. But now that I'm gone, and you have this inheritance, I need to warn you. When people learn about money, they show their true colors. Watch carefully, Walter. Listen to what they say when they think you're not around. Don't tell them about this inheritance right away. Give it a few days. See how they react. See what they really think of you. If I'm wrong about Gloria and Marcus, then I'll happily be wrong. Tell them everything, share everything, and live happily. But if I'm right, then you'll have the means to start over. You'll have a home here at the ranch. You'll have financial security. You'll have options. You've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. It's time to take care of yourself. I believe in you, little brother. Whatever happens, know that you are worthy of respect and love. Real love. Your brother, Raymond. I read the letter 3 times. My eyes were wet. Part of me wanted to dismiss it. Raymond didn't know Gloria like I did. We'd been married for 38 years. Yes, things weren't perfect, but what marriage was. But another part of me, a part I had buried deep down, whispered that maybe Raymond had seen something I refused to see. I folded the letter, put it in my pocket, and made a decision. I wouldn't tell anyone about the inheritance yet. I would go home, act normal, and watch. Patricia came back, and we finalized the paperwork. I signed everything, received copies of all the documents, and flew back to Colorado that evening. When I got home around 8 o'clock, Gloria was watching television in the living room. She barely looked up. How was the trip? Fine. Just some paperwork about Raymond's estate. Did he leave you anything? I paused. Not much. The ranch goes to his ranch hand, apparently. Some charity gets the rest. I just had to sign off on a few things as next of kin. Gloria nodded, already looking back at the TV. That's too bad. I thought maybe he had something squirreled away. No, I said. Just the ranch, and that goes to Eddie. I went to the bedroom, hid the documents in my old toolbox in the garage, a place Gloria never went, and tried to sleep. The next few days were strange. I found myself watching Gloria differently, listening to her words more carefully. And the more I watched, the more I noticed things I had ignored for years. The way she talked about money constantly, how we didn't have enough, how we needed to be careful, how retirement was bleeding us dry. But she never seemed to cut back on her own spending. Her weekly salon appointments, her shopping trips with her friends, the new furniture she wanted for the living room, the way she talked about me, little comments, almost offhand. Walter never was ambitious. Walter doesn't understand these things. Walter just sits around all day now that he's retired. Had she always talked like this? Or had I just stopped listening? On Thursday, Marcus came over for dinner. He and Denise lived across town. Usually, they only visited when they needed something money for the kids' activities, help with home repairs, a free babysitter. During dinner, Gloria brought up Raymond. Your Uncle Raymond passed away, Marcus. Your father went to Montana to handle some paperwork. Marcus looked up from his plate. Oh yeah? Did he leave anything? Not really, I said, keeping my voice casual. The ranch goes to his ranch hand. Some charity gets the rest. Marcus frowned. The ranch? That place has to be worth something. And Uncle Raymond always seemed like he had money. He lived simply. I don't think there was much. Huh. Marcus went back to eating, but I caught a look between him and Gloria. Quick, almost imperceptible. If I hadn't been watching, I would have missed it. After dinner, Marcus said he needed to talk to his mother about something, and they went into the kitchen. I stayed in the living room, pretending to read the newspaper, but I got up quietly and moved closer to the kitchen doorway. Their voices were low, but I could hear them. Are you sure there's nothing? That was Marcus. That's what he said. Everything goes to some ranch hand and charity. That doesn't make sense. Uncle Raymond had no wife, no kids. Dad was his only family. Why would he leave everything to strangers? I don't know. Maybe Walter's not telling us everything. You think he's hiding something? I think your father isn't smart enough to hide anything. He probably just doesn't understand the legal stuff. Maybe Raymond had debts. Maybe the ranch is worthless. I stood frozen in the hallway. My wife of 38 years had just called me stupid, and my son hadn't disagreed. Well, that's disappointing, Marcus said. I was hoping maybe we'd finally get somewhere. You know, Denise has been on my back about the kids' college funds. I thought maybe if Uncle Raymond left something. I know. I was counting on it too. I thought we could finally take that trip to Europe, maybe renovate the kitchen. What about Dad's pension? His retirement savings? There's some there, but not as much as you'd think. He wasn't exactly a high earner. Mom, we've talked about this. If Dad passes first, you'll be fine. His life insurance, the house, his 401k. But if you wait too long, I felt sick. They were talking about my death like it was a business opportunity. I know, Gloria said. I've thought about it, but what can I do? Divorce at this age? I'd get half of not much. Unless what? Marcus lowered his voice further. I strained to hear, what if you got him to sign a new will? Something that gives you everything directly, not split with me and the grandkids. Then when he's gone, you can distribute it however you want. He already has a will. I get the house and half the accounts. Get him to change it. Tell him it's for tax purposes or something. Dad doesn't understand that stuff. My heart was pounding so hard I thought they might hear it. I stepped back from the doorway, walked silently to the living room, and sat down with my newspaper. A few minutes later, they came out of the kitchen, smiling and chatting like nothing had happened. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Gloria, staring at the ceiling, replaying their conversation. Raymond was right. He had seen what I had refused to see for years. My wife didn't love me. She loved my paycheck, my pension, my life insurance. My son saw me as a future inheritance, not a father. The next morning, after Gloria left for her hair appointment, I made some calls. I found a family law attorney named Howard Chen, who came highly recommended for divorce cases. I made an appointment for Monday. Then I called Patricia Holloway in Montana. Patricia, I need your advice. I'm considering divorce. How do I protect the inheritance Raymond left me? She explained that in Colorado, inherited property is considered separate property, not marital property, as long as I kept it completely separate from any joint accounts or assets. I should not put any of the inherited money into accounts Gloria had access to. I should not put her name on any of the properties. If I wanted to use inheritance money for anything, I should document it carefully. If you're serious about divorce, she said, do not tell your wife about the inheritance until the divorce is finalized. Once she knows, she may try to claim you concealed assets during the marriage, which could complicate things. But I just received the inheritance. We were still married when Raymond died. The timing actually helps you. You inherited after his death, and you're filing for divorce shortly after. There's no commingling of assets, no contribution from your wife to any of the inherited properties. Your position is strong. I thanked her and hung up. Over the next week, I prepared. I met with Howard Chen and retained him for the divorce. I opened new bank accounts at a different bank. I rented a safe deposit box and put copies of all Raymond's estate documents in it. I also bought a small digital voice recorder, the kind that looks like a pen, and kept it in my shirt pocket. I began recording conversations, not to use in court necessarily. Colorado is a one-party consent state, so it was legal, but to remind myself of the truth when I started doubting my decision. Gloria continued making little comments. You've been distracted lately, Walter. Maybe you should see a doctor about your memory. Did you forget to pay the electric bill again? I hadn't forgotten anything. But she was building a narrative that I was declining, that I couldn't manage things, that she needed to take control of the finances. Marcus came over twice more. Each time, he and Gloria would find reasons to talk privately. Each time, I recorded as much as I could. On one recording, I captured Marcus saying, "Mom, I've been looking into it. If Dad gets diagnosed with dementia, you could get power of attorney. Then you'd control everything. He doesn't have dementia. Doesn't matter. A lot of doctors will diagnose it if the spouse says the right things. Memory issues, confusion, poor judgment. Just keep a diary of incidents. In 6 months, you'd have enough to go to a doctor." I listened to that recording 3 times, making myself feel every word. They were planning to have me declared mentally incompetent. My own wife and son. Raymond had warned me. He had seen this coming. 2 weeks after my trip to Montana, I was ready. The divorce papers were prepared. My new accounts were set up. I had 6 recordings documenting their discussions. I chose a Saturday. Gloria was in the kitchen making breakfast. Marcus was coming over later to help me clean out the garage, his excuse to spend more time working on his mother. I walked into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Gloria, I need to tell you something. She turned around, spatula in hand. What is it? I lied to you about Raymond's estate. Her eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly. What do you mean? Raymond didn't leave everything to his ranch hand in charity. He left everything to me. The ranch, 2 rental properties in Denver, almost $400,000 in savings, and an investment portfolio worth over $200,000. Total value is about $1.4 million. Gloria's face went through several expressions, shock, then calculation, then a forced smile. Walter, that's wonderful. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because Raymond warned me not to. Warned you? About what? About you. He left me a letter. He said that when people learn about money, they show their true colors. He told me to watch, to listen. Gloria's smile faltered. What are you talking about? I took the digital recorder out of my pocket and set it on the table. I've been recording your conversations with Marcus for the past 2 weeks. Her face went pale. I pressed play. Her voice came through the speaker, clear as day. I think your father isn't smart enough to hide anything. I skipped ahead. Marcus's voice. If Dad gets diagnosed with dementia, you could get power of attorney. I skipped ahead again. Gloria. Divorce at this age? I'd get half of not much. I stopped the recording and looked at my wife. She was standing frozen, the spatula still in her hand. You were planning to have me declared incompetent, I said quietly. You and Marcus were going to take control of my finances, wait for me to die, and split whatever was left. Walter, you're misunderstanding. I'm not misunderstanding anything. I've been willfully blind for 38 years, but I'm not blind anymore. I took an envelope from my pocket and set it on the table. These are divorce papers. I'm filing on Monday. I've already met with an attorney. The inheritance from Raymond is my separate property. You have no claim to it. Our marital assets, the house, the joint accounts. My pension will be split according to Colorado law. Gloria finally found her voice. You can't do this. We've been married for 38 years. And for how many of those years have you actually loved me, Gloria? Or was I always just a paycheck to you? She didn't answer. That told me everything. The front door opened. Marcus walked in, saw us in the kitchen, and immediately sensed something was wrong. What's going on? Your father has lost his mind, Gloria said. He's talking about divorce. Marcus looked at me. Dad, what is this about? I played him the recording of his own voice, the one about the dementia, diagnosis, and power of attorney. His face went white. You took that out of context. What context makes it acceptable to plan having your own father declared mentally incompetent to steal his money? Marcus started to argue, then stopped. He looked at his mother, then at me. Uncle Raymond left you everything, didn't he? Yes. How much? That's no longer any of your concern. Gloria stepped forward. Walter, let's talk about this. I was just frustrated. I didn't mean those things. You know how Marcus is. He puts ideas in my head. Don't blame this on me, Marcus snapped. And just like that, they turned on each other. Gloria accused Marcus of manipulating her. Marcus accused Gloria of always complaining about money and putting pressure on him. They argued right there in the kitchen, revealing more of their true colors than even the recordings had captured. I stood up and walked to the door. I'm going to stay at a hotel tonight. My attorney will be in touch. I suggest you both get lawyers. I walked out, got in my car, and drove away. The divorce took 4 months. Gloria tried to fight it. She hired an expensive attorney who claimed I had hidden assets, that the inheritance should be considered marital property because Raymond was family. Howard Chen shut down every argument. The inheritance was clearly separate property. We had no joint investments in Raymond's assets. The recordings, while not used directly in court, helped establish a pattern that made the judge unsympathetic to Gloria's claims. In the end, Gloria got the house and half of our joint retirement accounts. I kept my pension and, of course, the entire inheritance from Raymond. Marcus stopped speaking to me after the divorce was filed. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Denise was furious with him. Apparently she hadn't known about his schemes and was humiliated when the truth came out. Last I heard, they were in marriage counseling. As for Gloria, she sold the house and moved into a small apartment. Without my income, her lifestyle had to change dramatically. I can't say I feel sorry for her. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I moved to Montana. The ranch was everything Raymond had described and more. 600 acres of rolling grassland with mountain views. A comfortable 4-bedroom house that needed some updating but was solid and well built. A big red barn where Raymond's horses still lived, cared for by Eddie and his wife. I kept Eddie on as ranch manager. He knew the place better than I ever would, and he'd been loyal to Raymond for 20 years. I gave him a raise and offered to let him and his wife move into one of the guest cabins rent-free. He accepted. The first few months were hard. I was 63 years old, starting over in a new state, knowing almost no one. There were nights when I sat on the porch, watching the sunset over the mountains, and wondered if I'd made the right choice. Then spring came. I woke up one morning to the sound of birds singing. I walked outside with my coffee and saw the fields turning green, the horses grazing in the pasture, the snow-capped peaks glowing pink in the early light. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace. I started making friends. The neighbors were good people, ranchers and retirees who waved when they drove past and brought casseroles when they heard I was new in town. I joined a poker group that met every Wednesday at the local bar. I started fishing again, something I hadn't done since my visits with Raymond. One afternoon, about 8 months after I moved, I was in town picking up supplies when I ran into a woman at the hardware store. She was trying to reach something on a high shelf, and I offered to help. Her name was Margaret. She was 60, a widow, and had moved to Montana 5 years ago after her husband passed. She had kind eyes and a quick laugh. We got coffee, then dinner, then coffee again. I'm not going to say I found love at 63. That sounds like a movie. But I found companionship. I found someone who liked me for who I was, not for what I could provide. We've been seeing each other for 4 months now. Nothing serious, nothing rushed, just two people enjoying each other's company. Last week, I went to Raymond's grave. It's on a small hill at the edge of the ranch property, overlooking the valley. I sat down on the grass and talked to him for a while, told him about Margaret, about the ranch, about how I was finally learning to ride a horse properly. You were right, Ray, I said. You were right about all of it, and I'm sorry I didn't listen sooner. The wind picked up, rustling the grass, and I could almost hear him laughing. I'm 64 now. I have maybe 20 good years left, if I'm lucky. I'm not going to waste them on people who don't value me. I'm not going to spend them waiting to die so someone else can inherit my money. I'm going to live, really live, for the first time in decades. Raymond's letter is framed on my wall now, right next to a photo of the two of us from our last fishing trip. Every morning, I read the last line. You've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. It's time to take care of yourself. Thank you, brother. I finally understand. If you're listening to this and you're in a situation like mine, where you give and the people around you only take, I want you to know something. It's not too late. It's never too late to choose yourself. You deserve respect. You deserve love. Real love. And if the people in your life can't give you that, then maybe it's time to find people who can. Did you enjoy my story? If you listened to the end, drop a number 1 in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. If this story resonated with you, please like the video and consider subscribing. I've got more stories like this one, tales of betrayal, justice, and starting over. Check out the 2 videos on screen right now. They're some of my most popular. Thanks for being here. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.